If you actually want to look good, you can't do what the average person does. You can't even do what the average gym goer does. You need to do certain things that are going to separate you from both the average person and the average gym goer. The type of things that are going to give you an attractive physique. They're going to have you looking good, looking lean, building a nice V-taper, the type of physique that attracts a lot of attention. That's the type of physique that a lot of guys want. But if you just follow everyone else who doesn't really know what they're doing, you're not going to be able to build that type of body. So I'm going to show you exactly what is going to separate you from the average guy in terms of building an attractive physique. So the average person isn't even going to the gym consistently anyway. So that is a very low level, and I'm not even going to waste my time talking about that because by now you know that that's not acceptable, right? So let's talk about the guys who go to the gym consistently. They're there, 3 to 6 days a week, but their physiques are still looking pretty bad. Why is that? These guys are putting a lot of effort into the gym. Now, when I say effort, I'm talking about the time that they spend in the gym. 1 hour and a half per session, 2 hours, 3 to 6 days a week. It's quite a decent amount of time in the gym. Of course, time is just one side of the equation when it comes to effort. But regardless, these guys, they go into the gym consistently, and they go into the gym. What do? They go inside, they go to the changing room, put their bags down, go out, straight on the treadmill, 30 minutes. Okay. Then they go upstairs. They find the dumbbells, the 30-pound dumbbells, the same ones that they've been using for the last 2 years. They do some reps, not the best form, just do it until it gets like, it feels like they're breathing a bit heavy, not close to failure. They put them back, that's a set. Then they grab the 35-pound dumbbells and they do the same, 15, 20, 25 reps, the same. Cool. And they do this for, they do this for 4 or 5 sets. Then they go do the bench press, and they go do some pull-ups or some assisted pull-ups. And that's basically it. So what you see there is a guy who's going into the gym with no plan, no purpose. They don't know exactly what they're doing. They don't know what day it is, like what day they have to train. They don't know what split they're doing. They're not training with any intensity. They're doing cardio before the session, not optimal, right? So basically, this is the average guy who even goes to the gym. Like I said, forget about people who don't go to the gym. This is the average guy who goes into the gym. The one who goes into the gym with no plan. The one who goes into the gym and doesn't train intensely. The one who doesn't have a specific purpose for that lift, who's not trying to progressive overload consistently every session, every week. When you train like this, like the average person does in the gym, you're not gonna even scratch the surface of the type of physique that you're able to build. You're not gonna get anywhere near the amount of muscle growth that you're able to get. It's not gonna build you the type of physique that you want, the attractive physique. Objectively, the guys who work out like that, with no clear intention, they're still putting a decent amount of effort in the gym, a decent amount of time anyways. But the effort without direction, without an intent, without purpose, it's just wasted. It's like going into the woods and just shooting random bullets, hoping that you hit something. Whereas the person who goes into the woods with a clear plan, who knows exactly the animal that he's gonna hunt, who knows exactly the route he's gonna take to get it, and he gets the shot of clean kill, right? That's the person who actually gets a much better reward, who is actually going to get what they want out of what they're doing, rather than the person who just goes in there, even though they're consistent, right? Of course, consistency is a massive part. We still have to do that. But if you're being consistent with no direction, you don't know what you're doing, no clear plan, no purpose, then the consistency is not going to pay off the way that you want it to. If you want your gym sessions to be effective and consistent, you need to know what days you're going to the gym, know what time you're going, know how many rest days you have, know what split you're doing, know what exercises you're doing specifically, know the alternatives that you can have for those exercises if the machine or whatever isn't available, know how much time you're resting in between sets, know how much cardio you're doing after, if you're doing any, how many steps you're doing. All of these things, they need to be dialed in. They need to be sorted out. I know everything that I'm doing on any given day. I know exactly what I'm doing in the gym. I know exactly if I'm going to the gym. I know what time I'm going. I know what I'm doing in the gym when I get there. If there's a machine that isn't available that I want to use, then I'm either going to wait for it or I'm going to go do something else that I already know will be just as effective. So you need to have a very clear, consistent plan that has backups as well. So you know exactly what you're going to do day to day. Day to day, every single day, you get the result, you be consistent, and then, the results compound basically. If you're doing everything very specifically for a purpose, for a specific result, you want that good physique, you want the best muscle growth, you want to look good. If you've got everything optimized for that goal specifically, and you just execute on that every single day, whatever that is, even if it's a rest day, that's still executing on the eventual goal, right? Then you are going to get the result. You're not going to be like the person who just goes into the gym and thinks that's enough. For the first 2 weeks, okay, if you've never worked out before, it's enough to just go to the gym and just, mess around on the machine, see what's going on, right? Get comfortable with the layout of the area, like you're exploring the map, right? But after that, after 2 weeks, like after a month maximum, it's like, okay, now you actually need to do something. Now you need a plan. Now you need a purpose. Now you might need guidance. Now you actually need to know what you're doing for a specific result. You can't just go there and mess around forever and think you're going to get the result, because people who have attractive physiques, they don't do that. You also need to realize that training for fitness and athletic ability is different from training to look good. Most people just want to lose fat and build muscle, right? Effectively, when it comes down to the basics, that's what building an attractive physique is. Of course, there's things we can prioritize for the muscle growth, and obviously we're getting very lean, leaner than the average person. But when someone wants to get in shape, for example, when I go into the gym and I see a personal trainer training his client and they've got them doing like this client, all they want to do is lose fat and build muscle basically. But the personal trainer has got him doing sprints and kettlebell swings and rows and, elliptical, and then back-to-back circuits, 5 different exercises in 2 minutes. Like, this is ridiculous. This is not going to get the person the result that they want. It's high intensity cardio, basically. It's not resistance training. It's going to increase their appetite. So that's the nutrition already done. They're not going to lose any fat. And then it's obviously very suboptimal for building muscle, which is what that person wants. So you need to train effectively, heavy weights, high intensity, proper rest periods, all the things that I talk about, right? Now, of course, you can still train for fitness and athletic ability, but separately. You don't confuse, like the average person just confuses the two. They think, okay, I'm going to do kettlebell swings and I'm going to do back-to-back circuits, 20 seconds of rest in between exercises. That's not really going to build you muscle. It's not going to build you the attractive physique that you want. You can do athletic, performance stuff separately. Like me, for example, obviously I've got everything dialed in perfectly to look good. But then on the side, because I also do jiu-jitsu, I do other things, I still need to be an athlete basically. I can do plyometrics, I can do sprints, but it's separate, it's planned separately. I've rested properly for it. I know what I'm doing basically. I've got everything optimized so that I can do both at the same time. But like I said, most people, they've not got it. They're just going into the gym and they're doing, maybe few sprints, okay, a few kettlebell swings, then go upstairs, do some bicep curls, some random exercises. You can't be just wishy-washy doing anything and everything, right? You need a plan, you need a purpose, you need to know specifically that what you're doing is going to get you the result that you want. Now, another massive reason why most people look average, and in fact, this is the biggest reason, this is by far the biggest reason, is that they're just too fat. Most people are literally just too fat. They have too much unnecessary body fat on their physiques as a result of overeating over a long period of time usually. The average person is like 25% body fat, obese, right? So at that point, your health is at risk, your cardio is shit, you're ugly. So if you're 25% body fat, even 20% to be honest with you, getting lean has to be the most important thing in your life. I'm being so serious, right? Now, the average person who goes to the gym, I'd say they're probably like 15 to 18% body fat, something like that. I mean, now to be fair, there's still, there's still a lot of obese people at the gym, right? But let's just say like 18% body fat. Still at that point, you're fat, like you have no abs, your face is round and bloated. Basically, it's not a good look whatsoever. That's the highest that I ever go up to, 18% body fat, somewhere around there anyways. And I felt how it feels to be that heavy. I've never been that heavy before, right? I didn't start fat. I started very lean and then I got fat. So for me, it's very easy to see the difference. That's why as soon as I got to that weight, I was like, oh shit, this needs to change rapidly. And of course, I did drop back down to a nice body fat percentage, right? Me personally, right? If I'm around 10, 11% body fat right now, something like that, right? And I'm gonna get leaner as well. But if for me to get to like even 15% body fat, which a lot of people would consider fit, right? And to compare to the average person, it is fit. But if you want to be attractive, if you actually want to stand out, if you want to look good, right? You need to be lower than that. You need to be 8 to 12% body fat, right? But for me to get to 15%, I would have to be put in a straitjacket and force-fed. I'm not even joking. So like you need to raise your standards basically. You can't go off the standards of the average person. The average person thinks 15% is amazing. They think, oh my God, like superhero. No, if you want to look great, if you want to have real results with women, with your confidence, with the way you look, you need to be leaner. You need to get to 8 to 12%. You need to actually look fantastic. You need to look like people won't even believe what they're looking at, right? When I'm taking my shirt off in the gym, and I've got the lower ab veins, the veins all on my lats and everything, right? People don't believe what they're looking at. You kind of want to get to the level where you're really standing out, right? And obviously there's going to be people that say, oh, it's unrealistic. No, it's not unrealistic. It's unrealistic for you maybe when your standards are ridiculously low, when you're comparing yourself to the average person who's literally like imminent to like have a heart attack, right? The average person is so obese that the stroke is coming very soon. Basically, you can't compare yourself to the average person's standards. You need to have your own standards where you're going to be looking as attractive as possible. Your face is going to be lean. You have the abs. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're going for. We're not comparing ourselves to the person who's obese, right? That's not going to get you the attractive physique that you want. A lot of guys who go to the gym are afraid of losing size, of losing muscle when they're getting lean, right? But the problem is that they confuse the amount of weight that they've got, 225 pounds, whatever, or more. They confuse that weight with the amount of muscle that they have. Realistically, their lean body mass is very low, like honestly, because like I said, most people don't know how to train to build muscle properly. So they think they're losing muscle when they start losing weight. That's why they stop very quickly. But realistically, they don't have that much muscle to begin with. They've just confused muscle with fat. So you need to, obviously, if you're that type of person, you need to drop the ego and realize that, okay, maybe I just don't have as much muscle as I thought I did. I experienced that myself to a degree, to be honest with you. I was 187 pounds. And when I drop weight, I thought, oh, I'm just gonna drop 10 pounds and I'm gonna be lean and I'm gonna keep all my muscle. Well, no, it's taken a long time, right? I've dropped to 168 pounds. I weighed myself this morning, 168 pounds, and I've still got more to go to get to the level that I want to. And obviously I've been building muscle in that time, right? So, because it's been like 18 months, so hit quite slowly. So I had less muscle at that time when I thought I'm just going to drop 10 pounds. I had a lot less muscle because I've seen a lot of progress with my strength with progressive overload in the time that I've lost that weight. So yeah, basically the point is that you're probably going to have less muscle than you think you do if you're like above 15% body fat, right? So we need to drop that ego. We need to realize, okay, getting lean is going to be the best thing that you can ever do for your health and for your attractiveness and for your physique. So that has to be the priority rather than losing the imaginary size, the imaginary muscle that you think that you have. There's also the lack of discipline that prevents a lot of people from getting lean, especially people who go to the gym. Because for example, myself, I train myself to bulk up, right? I bulked up intentionally. So I train myself to eat more food. And once you've done that, and once you have a lot of freedom, when you've got 3,500 calories, you can eat basically whatever you want. It's no problem. It's all going towards muscle growth apparently, but obviously that's not the case whatsoever. So you need to, like a lot of people, they basically need to detrain themselves from eating too much food. They need to train themselves to eat less food. Realistically, your body only needs a certain amount of energy. Even when you're building muscle, you only need to hit maintenance calories to build the maximum amount of muscle that you can possibly build. So when you've trained yourself to eat more intentionally, it's hard to get back down to that level when you're eating not just maintenance, but less than maintenance to lose weight, of course, right? To be in a deficit. So a lot of people need to get that discipline to realize, okay, the physique that I'm going to achieve is way worth it. Is extremely worth the lack of food that I'm gonna have compared to what I was eating before. Realistically, it's not actually that much of a lack of food. It's just, like I said, the mental aspect where you've trained yourself to eat too much. And this is not just people who go to the gym, of course. Like I said, the average person is obese, so they have also trained themselves to eat too much food and train themselves to eat shit processed food that doesn't do anything for their health and makes it difficult to stop eating. Of course, you need to detrain yourself from all of those things so you can actually get lean and build that discipline to get lean in the first place as well. A mistake that a lot of guys who go to the gym make as well is prioritizing the wrong muscles that they're training. So obviously there's a level where you don't go to the gym, and then there's a level where you go to the gym but you don't really train, and then there's a level where you go to the gym and you train but you're prioritizing the wrong muscles, and then there's the level that we need to be on where we're prioritizing the right muscles if you actually want to have an aesthetic physique, a good looking physique, right, an attractive one. A lot of guys are prioritizing big chest, bench press, big arms, loads of bicep curls. That's not the way to do it. If you want an attractive physique, you need a V-taper, a good shoulder to waist ratio. How do you do that? The muscles that create the V-taper are the lats. Prioritize the lats, the side delts, right? And obviously if you're training the side delts with like overhead press, which raises the side delts effectively, then you're doing the front delt as well, which is going to lead to those big round shoulders. And then lateral raise, of course, for some more side delt, because those are the two most important, the lats and the side delt for that V-taper. And then almost as important is the upper chest as well, to fill out the frame. Instead of prioritizing like bench press, for example, which is going to hit more of the lower chest, going to lead to a saggy chest type of look. That's not very attractive. When you prioritize the lats, the shoulders, and the upper chest, Now you get that superhero type physique, that attractive physique, right? That's what I've prioritized, and I've been happy with the results from it. And then another thing is that you also need to train your abs. Now, if you are lean enough, you're going to see your abs regardless. But a lot of people, they get to that lean, well, not a lot of people, but some people get to that lean stage and their abs aren't really popping like they want them to, right? Everyone wants those defined abs. If you've not done any direct ab work whatsoever, you're going to run into that issue. So you also need to train your abs. I do them like at the end of leg days because you don't really want it to interfere with other muscles, but you still want some direct ab work until you're happy with the size that they are, basically. So don't make the mistake of getting lean and then being unhappy with your midsection because you've not done any direct ab work as well. And when I say direct ab work, what I mean is that you're training them effectively the same way that you train your other muscles. So for example, to train effectively, right, you're doing 4 to 8 reps, you're training until failure or very close to failure, and you're doing low volume, just a couple sets per muscle. You do the exact same thing for your abs, exact same thing, no difference. You do the same thing for your lats, you do the same thing for your lateral delts. Everything is the same, right? So with your abs, we're not doing 60 seconds plank and then 20 dead bugs or whatever they're called, and then a Russian twist. Like, forget that, right? Forget that. We're not doing any of that. We're doing like we're doing weighted sit-ups and hanging leg raises. Those are the ones that I like the best, right? You can do cable crunches as well. You can get on an ab machine, but basically it's the same principle. You're training heavy and you're training till failure. What I like to do, usually I just do hanging leg raises, because I can do like toe to bar now, right? So that's a decent level to get to. And you just put like a medicine ball in between your feet or even a dumbbell, and you just do the hanging leg raises properly, proper form, good tempo, like decent eccentric, right? You're controlling the weight on the way down and then as fast as you can on the way up. That's the way you got to be training all your muscles, but then the abs as well, because they're no different from the other muscles. As I just touched on there, you've also got to be training with intensity until failure. You're training properly, right? You're not leaving loads of reps in the tank. This is not only going to separate you from the average person, of course, like the average person can't even comprehend the idea of doing something difficult, right? But even most people who go to the gym, they're not training with intensity. I see it all the time. You can go to the gym and look at it yourself. Look around, look at every single person doing their sets. Not that I do this, by the way. I focus on myself, right? But inevitably, I'm going to see what other people are doing just when I'm resting, whatever. But you're going to see that people train like shit. People don't train properly. They go to the gym and they just mess around. They are training. They are doing a lightweight for 20 reps, and then their face is barely even struggling, and then they just stop. And then they rest 60 seconds and then go again. And that's what most people are doing to apparently build muscle. But obviously we know just from the physique and from the science that that's not effective whatsoever. We need to be training with intention. We need to be training with intensity. That's going to separate you from the average person and from the average person who goes to the gym, which is already a higher level. You need to train with that intensity where you cannot complete another rep, right? Especially when you're new to training. When you're a bit more advanced like myself, because you've done so many reps to failure, you know the point where you get to where you can't do another rep. You know that, okay, if I attempt another rep, I won't get it. So I'm just gonna stop here. That's fine. 0 reps in reserve, right? But when you're, first 12 months in training, first 12 months of training till failure, even if you've been going to the gym before, you need to push yourself to that level where you literally cannot move the weight anymore. You get another rep and you think, oh no, I can't do another one. But then you go for it anyway, and maybe you get it, and then you go for another one anyways. And then honestly, you realize that a lot of people are training so far away from failure. It's unbelievable. It's genuinely unbelievable. Now, a reason is that another little reason of this is because a lot of people are training with light weights, which I'm not recommending whatsoever. Your rep range should be pretty small for most effective, because it's only the last 5 reps until failure that are gonna actually stimulate muscle growth, that are gonna have the most mechanical tension, which drives muscle growth. So realistically, 4 to 8 reps, that's gonna do the job, right? 10 reps maximum. But most people are training, 15 reps, 20 reps, 25 reps, whatever. And at that high rep range, not training till failure is difficult. Like, it's more difficult than training with heavyweights, because once you're doing, like, say it's going to take you 30 reps to get to failure. Once you reach like 20, your muscles are already going to be burning. It's going to be lactic acid buildup. That's something that's going to distract you from what failure actually is, and it's going to cause you to stop the set early. And that's what I see all the time with a lot of people. And then obviously, even with heavyweights, with 10 reps, for example, 8 reps or whatever, most people they just can't push through that psychological barrier to actually take them to the place where they need to be to push that set until they can't push it anymore, right? If you want the best results, the fastest muscle growth, the best physique, and the most mental evolvement as well, like how do I say this? Like basically you will become stronger mentally, definitely, from pushing till failure in the gym. And it's going to affect you in other areas of life positively that you didn't realize. You're going to realize that you can do things, you can work harder, you can do things that other people are not willing to do because you've trained that aspect of yourself in the gym by pushing till failure. So that's very important, both for your physique and both for your mental resilience as well. Take yourself way above the average person's standards by actually training with intensity. Now, the last thing that I'll mention is that you need to have patience. You need to have patience with what you're doing in the gym, the exact program you're following, and you need to have patience with the end result, with the end physique that you want, right? Most people, they don't have that patience. They want results without putting the work in for it. You know, it's a modern society, right? You order Amazon Prime, the parcel comes to your door next day. You order Domino's, it comes to your door 30 minutes. You don't have to do anything for it. You just, you know, spend some money, that's it, it comes to you. But with the physique, you know, there's no Amazon Prime in a good physique. It's gonna take months and years of focused dedication to get the physique that you want. You can see rapid changes fast, of course. Like if you're obese, for example, if you lock in for 3 months, you're gonna see a change with your physique, but it's not gonna be anywhere near to the level that you want it, right? If you're starting like with a bad physique, with no muscle, and you've got a lot of weight on you, it's gonna take years. It's gonna take years to get the physique that you want. And the thing is, the time is gonna pass anyway, so you may as well get started today, you know? If you've got a better start point, then like me, for example, I started lean. All I had to do was build a bit of muscle, and I'm already looking better than the average person. 6 months, I already had a great physique compared to the average person, right? But when the thing is, it's going to take time anyways. My physique then, even before I got fat and everything, was nothing compared to the physique that I have now. And this took years. I've been in the gym for 3 years now. I've been training intensely for a long time. I've been dialing in my calories. My nutrition has been perfect for a long time, right? Well, not perfect, but you know, it's been getting progressively better and better for a long time. And all of that compound effect leads to the result that you're going to see in the future. You can't be someone who is impatient, because when you're impatient, you just give up straight away and then you never get the results. And that's a lot worse. It's probably worse to start something and then give up straight away because you're not seeing instant results than just never start in the first place. Because if you never start in the first place, then you never even had the potential to go anywhere. That's the average person, right? But if you start, you know, and you want a good physique in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, you know, you do a 30-day workout challenge and you're going to get a sick physique. Impossible. It's going to take time. You need to let the compound effects do its thing, and that's how you're going to get the result for anything in life, right? Not just your physique. For your mental resilience, you need to build that identity by doing the daily disciplines every single day. You're changing your diet slowly. You're getting a good diet. You're not eating bullshit. You're tracking your calories effectively, better and better every single day. You know, you stop snacking so much. You stop, you know, having those little things that you're not supposed to have so much. You stop skipping the gym sessions that you usually skipping so much, right? And eventually you get to the point where you've built that identity where it's easy for you to do the things that are gonna give you an attractive physique and are gonna maintain an attractive physique for you as well. So be patient with the process, and the results are gonna come for sure. If you do want more help to build an attractive physique, then check the top link in the description. That's my community, where you can join some other guys there who are building attractive natural physiques. You get in-depth breakdowns from me, you know, like similar things to what I've talked about in this video, but more in depth, so you know exactly what you're doing with your calories, with your diet, with the training, with the mindset. Very important if you want to build an attractive physique as quickly as possible. You can ask me questions, get guidance, and that's very, very effective. You know, you have someone who's been in your position, doesn't really know what they're doing, and then you get the guidance from me, which is going to allow you to build a good physique direct for your situation as well. So top link in the description if you want to look sexy.